In 2025, the thriller With You on the Day the World Ends hits theaters. Scientists have developed a genetic virus that grants immortality to its hosts. However, the cost is high. The host's consciousness is erased, turning them into monsters driven only by the urges to kill and feed. One such test subject escapes to the rooftop of a 100-meter-tall building. The commotion quickly attracts a massive crowd. They do not know that a disaster that will destroy the world is about to unfold. The man's body convulses, and he rises in a grotesquely twisted manner. The woman before him doesn't have time to react before the man bites through her neck. The horrific scene sends shivers down the spines of the onlookers, who scatter in panic. The virus spreads with ferocious speed, infecting dozens within minutes. The infected attack anyone in sight, turning the street into a living hell. Yamato sees several monsters charging at them and quickly pulls his girlfriend Aoi to flee. Along the way, Aoi, a nurse, notices a girl who has fallen and cannot ignore her duty to help. This act draws a zombie towards them. To protect his girlfriend, Yamato fought the zombies, causing both him and the zombies to fall from the overpass. Luckily, the zombie cushions Yamato's fall, leaving him relatively unharmed. He quickly gets up. Meanwhile, the zombie also rises but is suddenly hit by a passing ambulance. However, zombies on the overpass have targeted Aoi again. With no other choice, Yamato and Aoi split up to escape. In just one night, the virus spreads throughout Japan, and within a week, the entire world succumbs. 5 years later, human civilization has completely collapsed, leaving only a handful of survivors struggling to continue. In the center of the ruins stand two towering structures, hailed as the last beacons of hope for humanity. The towers are strictly hierarchical. Only the societal elite can reside within the high tower. Beneath them, in the underground sections, the surviving civilians take refuge. Yamato, who survived the catastrophe, has been searching for his girlfriend for 5 years but has found no trace of her. Fortunately, he learns from an information dealer named Jean that the other tower is reserved for scientists and doctors, who work tirelessly to research a vaccine. If Yamato's girlfriend is a nurse, she might very well have been sent to the tower. However, for commoners, reaching the tower is nearly impossible, as the only entrance is surrounded by barbed wire, and any attempt to breach it is met with violent suppression. Yamato, who used to work as a high-rise maintenance worker, knows that buildings like these usually have secret passages. He planned to sneak in and try his luck. However, Jean stopped him, claiming to know a safe route. Yamato trusts him and is led to their leader, Yuya. Unexpectedly, they were bandits who extorted resources from newcomers. Just then, another survivor is brought before Yuya. Yamato refused to hand over supplies and fought with them. Yuya drew a handgun, intending to kill Yamato. Suddenly, Hibiki spoke up, mentioning that the underground facility they were in was not fully constructed, and there must be some unsealed sections in the piping. Yuya's interest was piqued, as they were tired of being oppressed by those living above in the towers. At that moment, one of Yuya's men, examining Hibiki's backpack, was shocked to find it filled with explosives. Jean then remembered a recent theft at the warehouse. Hibiki, determined to reach the high tower to find his daughter, had already ignited a bomb and was planning to rush into the building. As the countdown reached 0, a car charged forward with the explosives, breaking through the zombie horde and blasting a hole in the tower's surrounding wall. The noise quickly drew more zombies. Seeing a rare opportunity, Yuya decided to lead his group in a counterattack to take over the high tower. As the alarm sounded, the people inside the high tower quickly realized that a crisis was imminent. The leader, Seijo, immediately dispatched guards to block the breached opening. With the protection of flamethrowers, the zombie horde could not enter for the time being. They threw the bodies of the zombies into a deep pit, but as a result, the blood flowed down the pipes into the underground camp, dripping onto a woman's face. She quickly transformed into a zombie and began attacking other people in the camp. The people were terrified and scrambled for an escape, but there was nowhere to run, and Yuya and his group were unaware of this chaos. Yuya lifted the plank, revealing the hidden passage concealed behind it. If Hibiki hadn't deceived them, they could use this route to reach the high tower, but as they made their way through the passage, they were suddenly spotted by guards. Yuya quickly shot and killed one guard, but with the guards outnumbering them, the squad was forced to flee. They then ambushed the guards on the stairs, catching them off guard. During the skirmish with the guards, Yamato caught a familiar sin on one of them. After a fierce battle, they cleared the area of guards. Later, Yamato found a perfume bottle in the trash that he had once given to his girlfriend, overwhelming him with joy. However, their celebration was short-lived as Hibiki suddenly sensed something approaching. Looking up, they saw a horde of zombies flooding into their location. The group fought back desperately. Outnumbered by the zombie horde, the squad was forced to flee once more. Just as they reached the main door, they were surrounded by guards, leaving Jean no choice but to close the glass door. However, it was clear this wouldn't hold for long. Hibiki realized they could escape through the windows. He grabbed Yuya's gun, shattered a window, and then shot out 2 more. The strong wind nearly blew them away. But they clung tightly to heavy objects until the wind weakened. Once it was safe, the group continued towards the high tower. They finally reached the laboratory and saw the vaccines, filling Yamato with overwhelming joy. But then, a cold voice echoed in their ears. The sudden sound startled everyone. They realized the lab was filled with infected individuals. Jean discovered his missing brother among them. It turned out they had all been secretly captured and used as test subjects for the vaccine. However, the vaccine research was still incomplete, and those infected had mutated into various monsters. Hibiki stepped forward and asked if there was a man named Shinji here. Jin's brother suddenly remembered that the leader in charge of the vaccine research was Shinji. Jin wanted to take his brother with them, but his brother, unwilling to live as a monster, pleaded for a merciful end to his life. Jin hesitated, unable to pull the trigger. In the end, Hibiki, understanding the man's suffering, fulfilled his wish. With heavy hearts, the group prepared to move on. Meanwhile, Shinji, having learned that zombies had breached the 30th floor, decisively chose to abandon the civilians on the lower floors. As he called a researcher to return to the lab using a walkie-talkie, Hibiki's voice unexpectedly came through. It turned out that Hibiki had infiltrated the high tower to retrieve his daughter, Mirai, taken by Shinji. After the catastrophe, Hibiki's wife, Kurumi, had been infected but did not mutate. However, after Kurumi gave birth to their daughter, her condition rapidly deteriorated. To spare his wife further suffering, Hibiki had made the painful decision to end her life. Later, the news of Mirai's natural immunity to the virus spread. She was dubbed the Chosen One, which made her a target of the high tower, leading to her being taken away. Upon learning Hibiki's intentions, Shinji promised that whoever captured Hibiki would receive a successfully developed vaccine, prompting him to dispatch all the tower's guards to search for Hibiki. As the nearby steel doors began to close slowly, everyone started to run frantically. However, Yuya, desperate to obtain the vaccine, suddenly shot Hibiki, causing him and Yamato to be trapped behind the steel door. Unbeknownst to them, this was just a lie concocted by Shinji. He had not successfully developed any vaccine. To accelerate vaccine research, Shinji decided to extract large amounts of blood from Mirai. However, their plan was overheard by Aoi, who was looking after Mirai. Unable to bear the thought of Mirai being killed, Aoi quietly took her away. Before they could get downstairs, zombies had already invaded the area. Aoi had to flee hurriedly, only to be blocked by a steel plate. Fortunately, at that moment, Yamato, who had tied a rope around himself, jumped down from a high building. He quickly shot and shattered the window in front of him to reach the next floor. Yamato reached the control center and unlocked all the steel doors, inadvertently saving his girlfriend and Mirai's lives. Once safe, Aoi hid Mirai in a cabinet and fought off the approaching zombies alone. Having no combat experience, Aoi was quickly overwhelmed by the zombies. At the critical moment, Yamato arrived just in time to save Aoi. Hibiki noticed the girl and immediately guessed that she was his daughter. However, since they had only spent a short half-day together, Mirai did not recognize Hibiki as her father. When Hibiki reached out to her, Mirai, frightened, turned and hid in Aoi's arms. At that moment, Reiji returned to warn them that a large number of guards were on their way, urging them to flee immediately. To buy time for his daughter, Hibiki decided to distract the guards by himself. Worried about Hibiki's safety, Yamato decided to leave with him, but shortly after they departed, Reiji suddenly pointed a gun at Aoi, intending to take Mirai and exchange her for the vaccine with Seijo. Meanwhile, Hibiki and Yamato were ambushed by Yuya on their way and had to hide in a lab. Through the glass, they saw Aoi being captured. After learning that Mirai had been taken back to the lab, Hibiki immediately turned and headed in the direction of the lab, with Yuya in hot pursuit. However, just as Hibiki had managed to deal with Yuya, he was shot in the shoulder by the pursuing Yamato. The guards threatened Aoi's life, forcing Yamato to bring Hibiki back. With no other choice, Yamato complied. Hibiki continued to flee, using zombies to shield himself from bullets. By the time Yamato reached the top floor, Hibiki was already gone. Meanwhile, Reiji brought Mirai to Seijo and demanded that he inject him with the vaccine. Unfortunately, the research failed again, turning Reiji into a monster. Seijo killed Reiji with a single bullet. Soon after, Hibiki and Yamato also found the lab. Hibiki had planted explosives inside the building in advance, intending to use them as leverage to force them to hand over Mirai. Seijo explained that Mirai was crucial to the survival of humanity. He even proposed that if Hibiki agreed to cooperate, he could live in the high tower and enjoy the highest level of privilege. However, when faced with the choice between saving the world or saving his daughter, Hibiki did not hesitate. He chose Mirai.
未来の父親だ！僕の研究は完璧だった。その子に抗体がなかっただけだ。
Upon learning the truth, Seijo was stunned. The savior of humanity he had always believed in turned out to be nothing more than an elaborate lie. Hibiki was shot multiple times and collapsed to the ground. Disheartened, Seijo left with his men, abandoning them to their fate. Unexpectedly, Shinji, who had taken a bullet earlier, was still alive. Grabbing a shard of glass, he crawled toward Mirai, blaming her for everything that had happened to him. At the last moment, Hibiki, who was thought to be dead, suddenly came back to life and blocked Shinji's attack. It turned out that Hibiki had injected the virus into himself in order to save Mirai, solely to gain the immortality of the infected. It was this sheer willpower that had kept him going. The same was true for Kurumi. She had only transformed after giving birth to Mirai, having held onto her last shred of humanity until her child was born, with the last bit of his sanity intact. Hibiki killed Shinji and urged Yamato to take Mirai and escape immediately. Just as they escaped to safety, the planted bombs exploded. 20 years passed. A squad of survivors wandered through an empty desert, where they stumbled upon an old man on the verge of death from dehydration. Under his guidance, the team returned to the ruins of the research facility. When the old man uncovered the cloth on his face, it was revealed that he was Seijo, the one who had escaped in the helicopter many years ago. Seijo never expected that the helicopter had also been rigged with explosives, leaving him stranded in this desolate place ever since. Mirai initially wanted to kill Seijo to avenge Hibiki, but seeing his genuine remorse, she softened. Unfortunately, it was all an act. Thankfully, Yamato reacted swiftly, shooting Seijo dead before he could strike. Then, in the center of the ruined building, they found the mutated Hibiki. A steel beam had pierced through his body, leaving him trapped in the same position for 20 long years. Mirai had come here to grant him peace. As a sequel to a post-apocalyptic TV series, the film stands on its own, offering a great viewing experience even for those who haven't watched the original show. Overall, the movie is quite good and serves as a fitting conclusion to With You on the Day the World Ends.